Shares of Irish budget airline Ryanair are up this morning. Net profit in the company's first quarter more than doubling. Joining us right now is Ryanair Group CFO Neil Sorahan. And Neil, let's talk a little bit about what the good news and the bad news is this morning. Obviously, the market's focused on the good news, and you do have some pretty significantly good news. Stocks up 7%. The first quarter average fares were up 21%. Revenue per passenger up 15%, and you said that for the fiscal year 26, you do see traffic remaining on track to grow 3%. That's all great news, and I want to dig into that. Some of the headlines I've seen that I wanted to ask you about, too, though, the bad news on this is in the second quarter, fares will be lower than the first quarter. For the second half, you say you've got zero visibility and that the heavily delayed Boeing deliveries are weighing on full-year traffic. So let's go through the good first. What happened in the quarter?
Yeah, I'd say it's all good, Becky. If truth be told, we had a strong first quarter, profit up 128% to 820 million, profit after tax from 360 million last year. Traffic grew at 4%, so we carried just under 58 million passengers at a 94% load factor. Fares recovered we had a 15% decline in fares in the first quarter last year, 21% increase in fares in the quarter just ended. That was boosted by a particularly strong Easter. We had a full Easter in the quarter. We had the weak comps from the prior year, and then close-in bookings into May and June were a little bit better than we would have anticipated. Equally, very strong cost control. We only saw unit costs per passenger increase by 1% as our strong fuel hedging helped offset higher air traffic control charges, which were up 16% in the quarter, and increasing environmental costs. So, I think it was a strong quarter. Slightly ahead of what people were expecting. Consensus was somewhere around 716, came in at 820. I wouldn't read anything, Becky, into the lower fares in Q2, and that we did have the benefit of the strong Easter. We're going to be recovering almost all of the 7% fare decline that we had in the prior year. I think that's good news in Q2. Equally, on a full year basis, we're saying now that we expect to recover almost all of the prior year 7% fare reduction last year. We'll get it back this year. Unit costs we expect to be only modestly up on a full year basis, in line with our guidance back in May. So very strong cost control in the business. We've 618 Boeing 737 aircraft in our fleet. That will enable us to deliver the 206 million passengers that we've targeted this year, 3% growth. Yes, it's slower than we would have liked, but that has been factored into our numbers for some time. And I'm delighted to say that we're in good shape now to get the remaining 29 aircraft in our order book from Boeing, which will enable us to grow by another 4% in the coming financial year from 206 to 215 million passengers. Boeing have definitely turned the corner. Production is much improved. They got to production rate 38, an important milestone for them back in May. They were there for June, and I expect them to remain at 38 into July. So I think it's positive.
Neil, what about the potential for tariffs on those 29 remaining aircraft?
Look, nobody knows, Becky. At this point in time, we're all operating under the 1979 exemption for aviation into Europe. There are no tariffs. I don't know if a deal will get done or not this side of the 1st of August. Nobody really knows. I don't know if a deal doesn't get done, whether there'll be retaliatory tariffs on aircraft. But we've been clear, and I think when we discussed this back in May in the studio there, I was clear that we have a fixed price agreement with Boeing. To the extent that there are tariffs, and we all hope that there won't be, it really is a Boeing issue. But we will work very closely with them.
Neil, you were clear with that, but has Boeing agreed with you on that?
I think Boeing, like ourselves, are hopeful that the tariffs won't come to pass. But there's a number of things we can and will do to help Boeing mitigate tariffs if they happen. One, we may not take the aircraft over the next number of months. We don't need them until next summer. We're only doing Boeing a favour by taking them early because they have them produced. I don't need the remaining 29 until we get into the spring, summer of next year. We may use our airline in the UK, where aircraft are exempt from US tariffs, to take some of those deliveries in. So there are a number of things that we can look at with Boeing, but it's purely to mitigate their costs. And, we all hope that tariffs won't come to pass. I took confidence from Transport Secretary Duffy's comments when he was at the Paris Air Show, where he referenced the 1979 exemption agreement, and hopefully something like that will remain in place. I think it's best for Airbus and it's best for Boeing not to impose tariffs on aviation.
What does the headline explain? Zero second half visibility. What's that about? Is that customers not booking earlier?
Yeah, I mean, this is always the case this time of year. You don't have huge visibility into your second half of the year. We've about 7% of H2 booked. So, it's relatively modest. So it's hard to read anything into that. We still aren't fully booked for Q2 and we're in that at the moment. It all depends on the close in August and September bookings. But we are expecting to recover almost all of the fares, not only in Q2, but on the full year, the 7% decline that we saw last year.
Yeah. Neil, you guys are famous for your cost controls at the company. One thing that I saw that actually surprised me, I've seen a lot of what you do in the past. I didn't realize you actually reward staff for seeking out and identifying bags that people are trying to carry on that are too big to be carried on board. You actually pay them a per bag fee for that?
We incentivize people for lots of things. Our cabin crew are incentivized for everything they sell on board the aircraft, which is why our trolley goes up and down more than anybody else. We believe people taking excess baggage on board the aircraft is a scourge. And if we can eliminate that by incentivizing people at the gates, we're more than happy to do so. And in fact, consider possibly increasing the commission that we pay.
It's about €150 per bag right now. And you guys would
depend on airports. Every airport with a different agreement. So I've heard that in relation to one airport. But there's nothing annoys our passengers more than people taking on excess baggage when they've played by the rules. 99.9% of our passengers do play by the rules, 0.1% don't. And we would hope that if they play by the rules, they won't get fined. And if we can incentivize people to root those out, happy to do so.